come tonight. We come with humility and gratitude. But most of all, Lord, we come as your humble servants, as obedient children. Lord, we ask that you would forgive us of our sins, cleanse us from unrighteousness. And Lord, it is our prayer that you would let your spirit of peace and unity, love and cooperation fill this place. Thank you for our mayor. Thank you for our city council. Thank you for Bogalusa. Because without you, we are nothing. But with you, all things are possible. Lord, we ask that you will bind the devil, the enemy of all of us, that he will not hinder this meeting. Lord, we are asking that you will be in the midst of this meeting and bless us that we will go forward in this great city of Bogalusa. Lord, we thank you in advance for all you're going to do. Undergirded by your spirit and your power. Yes. In Jesus' strong and saving name. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started, would you take a second or two and silence your cell phone for us, please? This is the emergency call meeting tonight. We will follow the same order that we would follow in a regular general business meeting. There will be no public participation, administration remarks, or council remarks at the end of the council meeting as we normally do. The discussion tonight will be on the budget and the budget only. When it comes time, if you want to discuss anything about the budget, you come to the podium, direct your question to either the mayor or Ms. Brown, who is the administrative chief of finance of our city of Bogalusa. Can I have roll call, please?
Mr. Cass.
Here.
Councilmember.
Here.
Councilwoman Douglas. Here. Councilwoman Smith. Councilwoman Cates.
Here.
Councilwoman Keys is absent. Councilwoman Shepherd. Here.
Mayor, would you like to address us, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you all for being here tonight. I want to start with opening remarks. Let's talk facts. No sarcasm, no politics. Just factual information pertaining to the 2023 city budget to combat some of this misinformation being spread. The first claim is that the administration is late on the budget. The fact is, this budget was required to be passed by December 2022 before we ever took office. If not passed by the state deadline, city operations will cease, impacting citizens, employees, and retirees. The second claim is the administration is spending so much money. The fact is, we are proposing almost $2 million less in spending. The fact is, the previous occupant overspent by almost $2 million in November and December alone, after losing the election. The fact is, for the first few months, companies were at our door daily, threatening to cut us off due to past invoices. It appears the city stopped paying a large number of bills after October of 2022. The fact is, the council approved millions in emergency projects after the election, despite not having accurate financials for months, including over $200,000 on an alley behind Avenue F. An alley, even though most of our streets are in deplorable condition. Ask yourself why. Was this more important than Church Street? The fact is, we still have unpaid bills rolling in, including $800,000 from workers' comp insurance and $300,000 for the landfill that had gone unpaid for years. That's over $1.1 million just this past month alone, bringing the past administration's overspending to over $3 million that we know of at this moment. The next claim is that the council has just received this budget, they need more time. The fact is, they received this budget from my administration back in March. We ran it by the Louisiana legislative auditors and have been in touch with them ever since. They made suggestions of things to add, but the basic figures and allocations did not change overall. And I saved my favorite for last. The last claim is the mayor is hiring all of these people, spending money we don't have. The fact is, we're proposing an over $1 million decrease in personnel costs. It has been explained to the council that this is a temporary measure until we are able to make up for the misappropriated funds under the past administration. So pardon me for walking out on Tuesday, but my team has worked for months cleaning up a mess we did not create, trying to move a city forward that has been lagging for decades, and we have to deal with intentional obstruction. All around, wherever we go, people are excited about Bogalusa. Everyone except those who should be working with us to capitalize on these opportunities. Ask yourself why. What's holding Bogalusa back? Or shall I say who? Despite having to make up for a shortfall of $2 million, we did not lower salaries, lay anyone off, and managed to maintain most of what we have come to expect from city government. So pardon me for walking out, but if the council won't do their jobs, what am I in a meeting for? I show up to work every day. There is no one in this city more in tune with the daily operations than me. So I won't allow folks that come twice a month for an hour or two to dictate to me based on rumors and hearsay. How can I address a concern if they aren't brought forward? No motions on any city business. At that point, it's not a business meeting, and I have better uses for my time. My generation is built different. I'd like to thank everyone for the kind words and prayers. I'm not angry, I'm not bitter. I just need to inform because misinformation is rampant. I'm undeterred and will continue to fight with 100% for a better Bogalusa because I'm in this with you for the long haul. I'm glad the citizens are waking up and getting involved. If they want to vote a budget down, do so, but to refuse to discuss anything on the agenda and not let the citizens know why is ridiculous. This budget accurately reflects the will of the people, increasing youth and family services to $25,000 compared to $5,000 before. Increasing city beautification to $145,000 to help us clean up our city from $1,200 previously. Committing $200,000 to tearing down old houses through demolition expenses, up from $7,600 from last year. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm doing what the people have elected me to do. Thank you for coming to this special meeting tonight. I have one scheduled for tomorrow, Friday, June 9th, 2023 as well. Same time, same place. I am committed to upholding my oath as the 16th mayor of the city of Bogalusa. I will be calling the council in every day until we get a budget passed. Thanks for your attention to this matter. I will now turn it back over to the council. Mr. President.
Yes. I'd like to ask you to refrain from your clapping and your cheering the mayor or any one of the councilors or cheering us out. It doesn't matter. That's part of our decorum of the council meeting. That's what we're here for, to hold a meeting. I'm just asking you to hold it down, and I understand your feelings for it. I want to show respect to the mayor, and I appreciate that. But I'm asking you please hold your thoughts down, Mr. Gallup, please. Thank you, sir. I'm now gonna turn this over to Mr. Irvin to read the ordinance in hand.
Good afternoon. An ordinance approving and adopting the City of Bogalusa operating budget and capital budget for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2023. Mr. President, I make a motion that this budget to be accepted, provided it's 100% accurate.
Would you like to comment on that 100% accurate?
Yes, it is, because from my understanding, we call it legislative order,
stating that the facts that you received from 22 were not correct?
No, he called me today.
Well, let me tell you what he told me.
Read
You
that
called
response,
him.
sir.
Let me speak.
that again.
He called for us. We called him back. He stated that he had been receiving numerous calls from council. This is what he said. He stated that y'all had concerns about the actuals, and I stated to him, any information that y'all asked from this administration, you were given. If you had any more concerns, you did not come to the mayor or the administration for those concerns. Am I not correct?
No, Deborah Fauché was building that budget the whole time. The contractor, Deborah Fauché.
Yes.
She was the go-between, and yet they told me that you were working and everything, and you did not show up until finance meetings until April. Now, I'm like I say, I did give you the motion with the benefit. You'll have to agree to that tonight, okay? So, but I'm going to tell you something. The reason why the council acted like they did is those numbers changed 5 times. We have proof of that. The budget was initially rejected by the legislative auditor because it was like, they didn't know who built this thing, and it was not accepted amongst general accounting practices. That is why the budget, that is because it was changed, the numbers were changed so much. Now, I understand you didn't have financials, and that was probably why it was done, and I took it like y'all were still working on the numbers. And you couldn't get November and December financials because it was not available, so the numbers kept changing, and really you didn't have one until March. So that's why we're here tonight to discuss that, and I'll be glad, that's why we wanted to discuss this in an open meeting about this. I want to let everybody know what there's part truths to what the mayor said, but I'm just telling you, and we did not have a budget until May 13th with actually true fund balances in it. Because everybody was telling us to take a budget and adopt it with 0 fund balances, which I didn't think that was correct. Thank you.
Okay, and as of this date, like I stated, the legislative auditor stated to me what you all's concerns were. He
Right.
said the actual was for 22 and any differences in expenditures for 23. Is that correct?
Right. He wants to know we want to know if this budget is balanced, true balanced. That's what we want to know tonight. Is all the revenue expectations projected for 2023 accurate? That's what we would like to know.
Yes, they are.
Okay, thank you. That's all we want to know.
So what else did you need to know about 22? Because he stated you had concerns about 22 as well.
22, Miss Becky Hammond is still working on closing the books. So therefore, that really it was their questions about the 22, which I could not answer that. Because I could not truly tell you if 22 books is closed. And I don't hold y'all against 22 because Miss Becky Hammond is still working on, and we're already in June, still working on closing out the books, and they won't be available until September.
And I can tell you why 22 is not closed, because the administration is still doing work that was not done by the prior administration in 22. So until we can get all the information we need and quit finding out more information that has not been done, you will not get the actuals for 22.
Okay. All right. And has the bank statements been reconciled from October till now?
No, they have not. They're updated up until February. Like I said, we're still working behind on 22. We can't move forward with an audit if we don't get 22 complete. So we can't just jump into 23 until we finish 22.
Okay. That's what we would like to know. Okay.
Calm down.
And I'd like to reiterate that these accounts had not been closed out like the retirement account. It had not been closed out since July of 2022. So not barring any election, any changeover in administration, they had already been behind. So we're just playing catch up, and we've reiterated that to you all numerous times. But of course, it feels like we're being held more accountable than the people who actually made the mess.
Now, Mayor, on far as if you're referring to the Cobras, I believe that's what you're referring to, Cobras, that you are correct. We asked back in, what was it, August or September, and they says, we're only doing that like once a year or something like that. So that's all I can say. It falls back, Mayor, falls back to that administration and their finance director. Truly it does. Truly it does. And I don't hold you what happened in 22. We're not holding you 22. We're talking about 23 forward with what's going on. We're just trying to figure out how you came about the numbers, and that's all we was wanting to know, and making sure they are accurate.
The projections, you all were in the same meeting with us with Attorney David Wolf. We took his projections, his 95% collection rate, and put it in the budget. These are his numbers that you all were in the meeting with the tape recorder. Run the records back and listen again. I don't know what else you all want from us. We can't do much else.
Well, question is, how's Mr. David Wolf is our bond attorney, how does that come into play? He's not hard to.
You're asking about some of the revenues.
Yeah.
He helped project the revenues based on tax collection.
Okay,
So that plays into the overall budget of the point that you're trying to make about inaccurate projections.
okay.
Mr. Irvin, read the ordinance, please. It's going to be before the public tonight, before this council vote on, please. Just read the ordinance.
All right.
In its fullness here.
The full ordinance, an adoption, approving and adopting the city of Bogalusa operating budget and capital budget for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2023. I already made my motion. I'm just waiting for a second.
I would like to make a second, but I do have a question. And many of you have,
Ms. Case, wait for me just a minute before you have your question. I'm going to get to you in a minute. We have a motion and we have a second on this the ordinance approving and adopting the city operating budget and capital budget for the fiscal year beginning January of 2023. We do have a motion on the table and we have a second. Is there anyone in the public like to approach the bench and ask questions? Give me your name and give me your address, please, and direct your question to Mr. Brown or the mayor.
My name is Bogalusa. Born and raised there. Address 736 Clark Street. I am a veteran of the Army, veteran of the Navy, veteran of the Vietnam War, former city council. I have to say that I am very disappointed about the break. In fact, now, I'm not just working with the man today. I think I'm still doing a fine job. But what I am is with the oversight of the council, people place together, to watch over the children.
Can you check his mic for me, Mr. Irvin, please?
To be caretakers of our money. And when I see or hear about $200,000 being spent on an alley, people pay taxes. When I sit at that table, we had our ups and downs, but we had people that were sitting there that actually cared about this city. We had dedicated taxes for our streets, and that money went on our streets. But through the administration for decades, people started going into their money and started doing what they wanted to do with it. $2 million in a few months, that's ridiculous. I'm glad to see these people here now. Because when I sit on that council, the only time that we saw people coming and filling this all up, if the water bill went up, or if it was a zoning fight. I must commend this administration on bringing the public interest to City Hall. The mayor said something about this is a new generation, and it is. But the same fight that he's fighting now, it didn't just start. I don't know if you remember the late city council, a young innovator, my predecessor, his name was Michael Richards. And he came to Bogalusa with innovative ideas, just like this man, trying to turn things around. But you still had that old segment. You wanted to keep things just as they were. And those council members then, they fought against everything you tried to do. And when they broke him down, and he said, I'm not going to run no more. I always like to support candidates. I never had any ambition to run for public office. This campaign started in the living room of my own. I invited some friends. We had refreshments. We came up with an agenda. But when he decided not to run again, my wife told me, she said, why don't you run? I didn't have any money. I'm probably the last poor grassroots candidate that ran for public office in Bogalusa. My wife took a magic marker and some blank paper and she handprinted my first ballot. And I walked door to door my whole day. I asked a very interesting candidates around this, attorneys, business degree people. But the election was over just like yours. I recognized your grassroots election when you took those two. And you went door to door. And you met with the people. And the people sent a message to the city that they want to change. We still want change. And we're going to support this administration. And we want this council to do what we elected for. This is ridiculous when you won't take up an issue that's on the agenda. You refuse to vote on it. That's not what we sit for. But that borders on malfeasance. If you're getting a check to represent the people, but you come and you won't act on what's on the agenda. And I want to see this change in this community. Mr. Mayor, I want to let you know that this city belongs to the citizens of this city. It don't belong to no business entity. No businessman owns this city. And we're not going to stand back and allow our people to be intimidated. And if you are renting a home for some of these business people, they threaten you, they got fair housing act. We'll go to the government. We'll bring the government up. And a lot of them, from what I understand, is some slum buildings. You can look into that issue too.
Thank you, sir. We're going to ask you a question, sir. If you have a question for the mayor, please don't get involved, ma'am. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. Come up to the podium, please give me your name and your address.
My name is Yvette Preston, 641.
Put it down, put the microphone.
I'm a little height challenged. I'm at 641 St. Augustine,
Your name for it, please.
Yvette Preston. And really, my question does involve questions on the operating budget, the capital budget, and the fiscal budget. For those who are not familiar about how dollars are spent or the color of the money, which those dollars should be spent on. So when we're looking at the operating budget and capital budget, we need to understand what portion of that budget is towards operating costs, what portion of that budget is towards the end of the fiscal year. We all have a fiscal year as government employees to do end of year closeout, fiscal year start, beginning, and stop. I think that people don't understand the color of the money. If anybody's in here been in the military, you can't spend red dollars that's allotted to be spent on blue dollars. And that's the concept that a lot of the people have to understand as well when we are operating within the constraints of those different types of budgets or on multiple budgets at the same time. So that would be.
Is there gonna be a two-way dialogue? Because I think y'all have some accountabilities and some answers to the citizens. we're asking.
Mr. Darrell, I'm waiting on response from Ms. Brown, if she wants to answer this question.
On operating budgets, do we have visibility as to how much this was allotted for, so that most people in the audience, we just see a budget. We don't know which one is the operating cost, end of fiscal year cost, which have not been closed out, and which is still pending. And see, even our federal government had to raise the debt ceiling due to unforeseeable issues. So, for us, as citizens, we need to understand the color of the money and which colors are being spent on which budget. And that's all.
That could be seen, and also if you want to review a budget, you can always come to City Hall. If you want to review a budget and ask for the public records custodian, and she'll provide that information to you.
And does it show which agency comes out of this local, city, state, or federal?
Yes, ma'am, there's a breakdown for all of that. It also includes, the total budget for 21, the total activity, which is what they actually spent. The total budget for 22, the total activity as well as percentage increases and decreases. So all of that is in the budget.
Okay. And we all have access to that.
Mr. Smith, you have a question for Ms. Brown or for the mayor? If you have a question now, we're asking questions about the budget. Okay? Now, if you have a question, sir, about the budget, please ask Ms. Brown or the mayor.
Tonight, it seems to me that y'all, without discussion, made a motion to approve a budget.
That's what
And
we're
the
doing
other
now.
night, you
That's
would
what
not
we're
do
doing
that.
now,
With no
Mr. Smith.
discussion.
We're just having the discussion now. The
If
discussion
we
is,
didn't hear from y'all, what
would you wait
changed?
just a minute and listen? I'm gonna ask you one more time to listen, sir. There is no discussion outside of us asking about the budget. If you want to know about the budget, you have to ask the question. That's only participation we're having. When it comes down to, that's what we're talking about now. We got a motion on the floor and we've got a second. So we opened it up to the public to discuss. The discussion is questions about the budget. That's all we're talking about tonight is the physical budget for 21, 22, 23. Okay? 22 is passed, we're in 2023. That's what we're discussing. The budget, you may not have a copy of it. You could have came by City Hall and got a copy of the budget if you wanted to read the budget. So if you would like to ask a question about the budget at hand, sir, please do so.
Okay, so we got a mayor that was elected by a majority population, the majority of the city of Bogalusa. Each of you council members were elected by a portion and a majority within your respective districts. This mayor over here has a degree in government. He has a government degree. So I'd like to ask, particularly Mr. Irvin, since he's mentioned government accounting principles and how y'all make decisions on whether you approve or disapprove this budget, what kind of education do y'all have?
Any more of this, we're going to get in the courtroom now. We're not here. Mr. Smith, no, we're not going to direct the question to Mr. Irvin about his education. We're not here to discuss my education or his education here. You got a question about the budget, sir?
Experience with the budget.
What is your question about the budget? Excuse me?
Y'all emphatically turned down the budget, so I need to understand.
Well, you don't have to understand.
Rationale.
What you have to understand is we looked at the budget and based on the information that we were provided, we don't care that, we think that the budget is not correct. Now, that's the way we feel right now. That was Tuesday night. That might change before the meeting is over. They may say something that will make us different. We may get some kind of, we may get some kind of that, where something had been amended to the budget that makes us look at the numbers different. And no, we are not CPAs. None of us up here are CPAs. Okay? That's why Miss Brown is a CPA, and she works in finance. Nobody else in City Hall works in finance directly. So now, do you have a question about the budget? Not about our education.
I'm not up here to try to be controversial. I
It
just.
sounds to me like you already won't follow through. We're asking you to ask a question about the budget.
From the council, why making decisions?
Yes.
Twice tonight it's been mentioned about the emergency spending that y'all were doing in December, but I don't hear any explanation. All I hear is on Facebook, the good, the bad, the ugly. We should be hearing from you guys explaining
You
what
will
y'all.
if you give us an opportunity. I'm gonna talk. You gonna hear from me tonight.
That's all I have.
Go ahead.
My affairs, 319 Peach Street. Why do you all have to be so rude? It's not necessary to be rude. Let us all be adults in this room and not be rude. And you are the one that is being rude.
Thank you for your opinion.
Thank you.
Your opinion. Thank you.
Reverend Price, 826 Pierce Boulevard, in the beautiful city of Bogalusa. Got a question. I guess I'll direct it to Ms. Brown. Ms. Brown, do we have a 2022 budget?
Yes, we do.
We do?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Who makes sure that budget operate according to when it's passed?
That was the past administration.
That's okay. My question is valid. The debt ain't over with.
No, it's not.
Okay, so it's valid.
Correct.
Okay. So whose responsibility is it?
We had to take on that responsibility when we came into office.
Did you vote it in? Did you vote on this, the
22
resolution on the 22 budget?
No.
Okay. So my next question is the people that oversaw this 22 budget should answer. Because you got a $2 million in a 2-month time frame overspent. And when you got that, you don't get a choice to sit here and be honorary, be disrespectful. From where I come, you condescend and you be respectful. Because normally where I come from, they call it busted. Okay, somebody was derelict in their responsibility. And so this vote that you having today, you should approve this man's budget because his number's been approved by the audit. There's nothing wrong with his budget. This budget, that's $2 million overspent. Somebody up here should have said something. You don't get to throw stones living in a glass house. Responsible to the people for what have happened here. And pushing it under the rug is not the solution. Putting it on this man is not the solution. I came in here, since the mayor had been elected several times. Just listen. And I refuse to say anything because I don't want to be condescending. I don't want to be respectful. But I'm a man of prayer. And let me tell you something. As I take my seat, this is corruption. Someone needs to answer to this corruption. And when this is me, and I can stand and chew my cabbage twice. You ain't giving me no gift. I ain't taking nothing under the table. I can't be bought. I'm not a preacher here. You can call and give a gift for anything he doing at his church to be quiet. I'm not the one that operate like that. And so I say to these preachers, they need to stand up. Because this same budget was overspent. None of it was given to nonprofits. So I guess that's it my time. Can I have some Majinko time? to make a mistake, I'm not putting it on you. But it's time to wash our hands. It's time to clean up. Because this city can do better. It can. And it will. And I'm praying both ways. I'll leave you with this. I'm praying for you, if you for this mayor in the city, or I'm praying you remove from your seat if you're not. Because I don't have the luxury of praying two ways. I live in two different ways. I'm for unity. I'm for harmony. And you gotta have tough skin to sit where you sit. And I hear y'all apologizing for what you did, but election night, there was no apologies. Wasn't no apologies for being elected. So now, let's act like we've been elected. Let's cross the aisle and get with this man, pass his agenda, and then let's get back to finding out about this $2 million.
I would like to respond to Reverend Bryce. If I could have an absolute quietness while I do that. Okay, let's be quiet. Let's be quiet. All right. Listen. We were given the October financials on approximately December the 27th upon the exit of the last administration. Ms. Graham, sitting here today, was part of that council too. I have proof of that. At the time, the October financials showed we did not have a deficit. It was done allegedly in the months of November and December, and that is what the current administration is alleging a $2 million deficit. So we did not have any November and December financials, even though we did ask for them upon the exit of the last administration. Go ahead. All right, Mr. President, it's back to you.
Jeremy McCall, 414 Mississippi Avenue. I'm going to ask about some specific things to Tony down, and then I'm going to get. You can't hear me? Is this any better? Okay. Still wasn't short enough for me, I guess. So the first one is about COBRA that I would like to know. I thought that when we had the legislative auditor in here doing all that stuff, that we had taken care of the landfill and the COBRA. And I don't understand why we're looking at deficits in both of those since we've gotten, I thought that was the whole point of the legislative auditor, was to take care of the landfill. My understanding was that the landfill was what we were going to pay monthly to the landfill, and that we were not partners with the landfill anymore. So I don't understand what's going on with that, and I don't understand what's going on with COBRA. I have other things to say, but I would really like to hear some information about that, because that absolutely confuses me. And then, well, I'll do all of the ones that I don't understand. The other thing I don't understand is the $400,000 for community development block grant and where that's going. And people are complaining about sidewalks or something, or beautification. Is that money the beautification money, and is that where that's coming from? I'll just, if you make notes or something, and then you can respond afterwards to all of that. And the two more things, and then I'm going to sit down. One is that this budget is way too complicated for me or most people who understand it. This is way beyond us, and it's your job. And normally you all do it, is you take us through the budget and you talk about it. And you all have not done that. You're not doing your job. I don't want to vote on this budget. I want to hear you guys talk about the budget. I don't want to hear this is a bad budget. I don't want to hear that we don't like this budget. I want to hear what's going on. You guys really do us a disservice to sit here and tell me that I have to watch you vote on the budget saying it's bad, or not voting on the budget because you're saying it's bad, you know? Take us through it. Talk about it. Don't just give vague things about what the auditor said. Lay it out for us. Where's the money? Where's the problem? Where's the not a problem? What don't you like? What do you like? You know? Get real with us. We all come in here wanting answers, right? You know, it's not that we're going to be sitting here mad at you because you're not doing something. We're mad because you aren't talking to us, and you didn't talk to us last night. And that's the last thing I'm gonna say. I said last night, but I'm gonna say it again. You are not doing your job. You are not doing your job. Take us through it. Mark, don't sit there and do innuendos. If you got issues with the budget, then say what it is, okay? Not just numbers, take us through it. We've got, you know, you can put it up on the board and take us through it, take us through it. You know, if you've got issues and you looked at the budget since, what, March or whatever, take us through it, you know? And then they can answer the questions. Don't sit here and do this nonsense where you're saying, well, you did something wrong. And we're like exactly where we've been all along, which is rumors and hints that there's a problem. If you got a problem, let's spit it out. Let's get real here. You know, take us through the budget, tell us what's wrong. I'm willing to listen. I'm not stupid. I can understand if you take me through it, but I can't go through an 89-page budget and know what's wrong and try to figure out there's big zeros in 2022. How do I know what those zeros mean? You know, I don't understand it at all, I've got to tell you. And with the missing pieces, I really don't understand it. So if you can't do it tonight, then let's schedule another one and take us through it and let's get it right. But I'm not going to sit there and say this is okay for you guys to just say yes or no on the budget. And we have no idea what's going on. You're leaving us with a bad taste in our mouth because we don't understand it. It's not acceptable. Do your job and let's do it right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. McLeod, I can't answer your question about Cobras right now. I need a little bit. Ms. McLeod?
Ms. McLeod?
I can't answer your question on Cobras at this time. I'd have to get with you to get more specific about what you're referring to, but the landfill, we met with the parish president's office. They informed us that we're 300,000 in the arrear. So that's because they hadn't been paying the bill.
So this is just our monthly bills for that.
And regarding the beautification budget, so most of that money will be spent on upgrading the way our city looks, including striping streets, because we've received a lot of complaints that a lot of our streets don't have street lines. At nighttime, it's harder for older people to see. So that's where that increase is coming from.
And is that grant?
That's a direct allocation.
Bradley Beers, 141 Cedar Road. Unfortunately, I have to leave, and I'd like Teddy to take my front row seat. Also, I want to apologize to Tiffany because she was offended by my thing. It was a joke. Sorry, Tiffany, it was a joke. You blocked me from that group, and as a person on Facebook, I'm sorry, but I got my moment to be Nancy Pelosi. But the reason I'm here is I want to wish our mayor a happy birthday. He's turning 24. 23-year-old Kyron was a threat. What's the 24-year-old gonna do? Watch this space and do your jobs and pass the budget. I've really got to go. Thank you. Goodbye.
State Fair, 1931 D. Place. This is to the mayor and Ms. Brown. Okay.
Please quiet down so we can hear, please. Thank you. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor and Ms. Brown, do you all think this budget should be passed? That's one of my understanding that y'all said it should be passed, right?
That's not our stance. We believe that it should be passed.
Okay. And I'm asking the council to pass this budget because number one, all this game playing been going on.
it's time out for it. It's time for you all to step to the plate, because y'all didn't step to the plate when that $200,000 spent in that alley. And when this $2 million started missing with the last 2 months of the other administration, y'all didn't step to the plate on that. So go ahead and pass this budget tonight and stop playing games. And another thing, from what I'm hearing here tonight, some of you all might need to start hiring some attorneys to represent you.
Good evening. Good evening. Joe Miller. Fine. 32 Austin Street. Mayor, this question is going to be directed to you. But first of all, I'm going to statement. I was in court last week out there with you on this frivolous lawsuit that a businessman and some other people is bringing to court for this stuff. And from what I understand, a lot of the records was shredded and the computer was empty, but clean so that nobody could understand or see what went on when you took the office. I commend you for what you're doing. I understand you're well aware and well educated on this stuff. And I can't understand why the council will not work with you. And this should have been done yesterday. And I'm like the rest of the people that's spoken tonight, well spoken, that they need to stop playing games and get serious about this and let's get on with business at hand. Thank you.
Mayor, President Kellis, members of the council, and special guests, all of you guys. All right. I've been before this council before. They know. I pretty much have an opinion on everything. Yes. I'm sorry, Michael Herring, P.O. Box 111 in Bogalusa. I pretty much call them as I see them, so to speak. And I learned a few things in my time on the council. One of them is that the mayor is responsible for submitting a budget in a timely manner. If he doesn't, then there are ways that he can continue to run the city based on funding at 50% from the prior year. Okay, so he has the money to run the city until that budget is submitted and passed by this council. All right, his job as the mayor is to submit a council asking for the funding he wants to do the things that he needs and wants to do in the city. All right? And then to spend that money within the parameters of that budget once it's passed by the city council. The council's job is to take that budget, review it, make any adjustments to it they think they need to make, and pass it so that the mayor can have the funding to run the city for the entire year. Now, I understand that there are some questions about the budget, but perhaps there are some issues about what he's wanting, all right? It doesn't matter what he wants. It's your responsibility. You have the fiduciary responsibility for this city, not the mayor, you guys. Okay? It's up to you to decide what's best for the city. Okay? And to make any changes in that budget, stop kicking it back to him for him to kick it back to you. All right? Stand up, make the changes you think need to be made, pass the thing, and give it back to him. And Mr. Mayor, it's your job then to live within the parameters of what has been allocated to you by this council. All right? I've watched in amazement at some of these things, okay? And Mr. Mayor, you know how I feel about you, all right? But I will tell you this theater is not the way this is supposed to get solved. Council, this is not the way it's supposed to get solved. It's your job to sit down with the mayor, go through that budget, submit any questions you have, and either he can justify what he's asking for or he can't. If he can't, then it's up to you to make the changes in the budget and to appropriate the money that you think is right for whatever that fund is. It's his job then to live within the parameters of those appropriations. All right? And yes, Mr. Urban, it does need to be a balanced budget. You can't spend more than you're taking in. All right? That's not a good idea for anybody. Okay? And Mr. Mayor, you're no longer running. You know I've commended you for the campaign you ran, and I congratulated you for being elected. You're no longer running a campaign. You're the mayor, not just for those people that voted for you, but you're the mayor for every citizen that lives in the city. Everyone. Council, you're not responsible for representing your district with just the people that voted for you. You're responsible for representing everybody in your district. Okay? And the large seats, everybody in this city. Everybody. All right? Whether you like them or not, whether they like you or not. You're here to represent them. If you're here for any other reason, you need to cut bait and go home. All right? Do I believe there's some showmanship going on? I do. Maybe on both sides. Okay? But Mr. Mayor, Council, this is not the way to do this. This is not the place to do this. Okay? You're not supposed to hash these things out in public. Now, if you want to, Mr. Mayor, that's entirely your call. You are the mayor. I'll give you that. Okay? Council, it's not for you to say, okay, Mr. Mayor, we don't like this, so we're not going to pass it. All right? Ask the questions, make the changes, and give the man the money to speak. Do you have to give him everything he's asking for? Absolutely not. Okay? That's where your responsibility to these special guests out here comes in. Okay? You got to look out for their welfare. Okay? Just like he does. All right? So, you guys please, let's calm everything down. Let's take a step back, take a deep breath, get together and do this thing right. Okay? Do this thing right. Okay? Look, I respect all of you. I'm telling you, I've been where you are. It's not a fun place to be. And believe me, you're not here for the money or the prestige. We've had that discussion already. If you are, you lost your mind. Okay? Because I know the pressure you guys deal with. And I want to commend you for your effort. Okay? If you don't know something, I can tell you now, Miss Kate and I haven't always gotten along. One thing I will say about her is she does her research. She digs. She knows what she's talking about when she comes to that mic. Is she the most eloquent in the world in expressing it? No, she's not. But I will tell you what, if you ask her a question and she doesn't know it, she got it in there somewhere. You can count on that. Okay? Look, I love this town. You've heard me say that. I love my hometown. All right? I do not like what it has become. Either before Mayor Tron got elected or since. I don't like it. It's not good. It's not a good reflection. And you guys have heard me before. All right? You go places, and I know some of you disagree with me, but you go places, and you tell people you're from Bogalusa, and they look down their nose at you. All right? There's a reason for that. And this theater is one of those reasons. Other cities do not do this. They don't operate like this. All right? They don't fuss and yell at one another like this. And you special people, if you're coming over here to berate and humiliate and yell at these people up here, whether it be the mayor or the council, you need to stay home. Period. Okay? None of these people up here deserve that. None of them. Okay? This is not a 2 meetings a month time frame. These people put in a lot more time than that. If they're not doing their job either. Right. Because you can't do it in 2 meetings a month. It's not possible. Okay? Guys, that's from my heart. I want you all to know that. Let's get it together. Let's do it the way it's supposed to be done, and let's get her done. All right? Thanks, guys.
Good afternoon. My name is Megan Walker. I just have a few questions for the mayor and Ms. Brown. Was it a meeting introduced that it was gonna be discussed in future meetings. District. So the budget, the proposed budget was given to the council in March. I know there's been a few amendments, but you all have had finance meetings during those times, in between those times, and between since June 6th, you've had finance meetings in between those times. Has concerns about the budget been brought up since then, in that time?
No, any questions that they had throughout the meeting, we asked all of those questions.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Any questions and concerns they had in those finance meetings were answered by either myself or the mayor. We just had a meeting on Tuesday before council meeting. And any concerns they had, the mayor addressed them.
So in that finance meeting on before the council meeting on Tuesday,
Yes.
was there any concerns about the budget then?
The concerns they had, we answered, so we didn't assume that there were no issues.
Okay, that's all I need to know, thank you.
And additionally, to address your point as well as Mr. Mike's, Mr. Mike, is he still in the room? Well, I respect Mr. Mike a great deal, but I happen to disagree with him on a few points. Lies are addressed publicly, so the truth should be addressed publicly. We cannot just sit here and be lied and people believe that, oh, let's pin this on this administration. I'm not going to sit down and let nobody pin nothing that I didn't do on me. So I disagree. In my education, I was taught that government is by the people, for the people. If we are addressing stuff in private and finance committee meetings, literally an hour before the actual council meeting, and we leave with the understanding that all concerns have been resolved, then yes, I'm going to address the problems publicly because we deserve to know. I deserve to know. These women right here deserve to know because they've been working on this budget for months. So we need answers. So I disagree with that. And I'm going to bring it publicly every time. This is not a campaign. This is governance, and I'm well aware.
Right. Thank you.
Mr. President, I have a question.
Sir?
Mr. Harris made a statement about the council can look into the budget and take what they want out of being passed. But the mayor has the authority to veto what the council action is, and if he can get enough votes on that council, he can override the veto.
Yes.
I mean, he can override it.
Yes. Thank you, Mark. Withdraw. Yes, ma'am.
Monique Morris, 1029 on the rest of the place, Bogalusa. Mr. Mayor, this question is for you. I've read all your comments, all your statements, and you're saying that you're having problems with the council working with you, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. I am a constituent from District C. District C would be Ms. Temples. My question is for Ms. Temples. Being one that I'm from your district, I've watched the videos, I've watched you sit here, not say anything, not participate. And when I hear that the mayor is saying that you're not working along with him to get something passed, why did we vote for you? Why did we take the time to go to give our vote? And I personally received phone calls to put a sign in my yard, to vote for you, and not only that, I know you. And for you not to take into consideration or even passing a budget to even get City of Bogalusa moving, it disappoints me. Because you as an educator know what it takes to do that. You work in education, so you know what the budgets and all of that has to do with educating kids in the community. So to even play these games, or if you're not even playing a game, or you undecided about what to do, when they have their finance meetings, ask the questions, get your answers, so you can decide on your own what you want to do. So as my councilwoman, take into consideration of the people that voted for you. Because I know the previous lady that sat there, she went in her community. She asked questions. She went around, wanted to know what they thought. She was very in the neighborhood doing those things. I know that, I've heard it. So I'm just asking you as my councilwoman, stand on your own. Make your decision. not based on nothing else but word research. You go to the mayor when you got problems, just like you will go to your principal if you got problems and concerns. I have respect for you, but I felt like as a constituent in your district, I needed to stand up and speak because I'm disappointed that you're not even trying to work with him. I'm hearing too much. And that goes for any of you sitting up here. You owe that to the people that voted for you. Whether you disagree or don't disagree, get to the bottom of it, see what it is that you need to do. Talk to the people that voted for you, what they want. Don't just make a decision all on your own. These people voted for y'all. And they took something for them to go vote for you because they had something they believed in you that you would get the job done, one way or the other. So don't just step out on your own. And don't let people persuade you. You're sitting on the seat. They're depending on you, nobody else. And if you can't stand alone and stand on what you're believing in, you don't deserve to sit there. You don't. If you can't hold up your head and stand by your decisions, you need to check yourselves. You need to. Because you represent the city of Bogalusa wherever you go. They can pull you up on Google, they can do any of that. But to know that you're stopping budget or whatever it is to get this city moving, come on. There's too much negativity going on in the city of Bogalusa, and we're ready to move forward. And we're dependent on you all to help get that done. You did it when you were campaigning, what you're gonna do, all of this. So hey, let's stick to it and get it done. Thank you.
I just have one question.
Name and address, please.
Wendy DuPont, 2 Silver Main Place. I just want to say that we do support the mayor. We do support the mayor, and all that I want is just one question answered. Will the administration please commit to not spending anything that's unauthorized? If the city council has not authorized you to spend on companies, will you make the commitment not to do that? On the city's ledger, there was proof that there was spending that was not authorized, even after the council, and it's A Securo Inc. So I just want to know if that will continue, or if you're going to make a commitment to the tax-paying citizens that you will not spend any money on anything that's not authorized.
You need to like to speak on things that are not authorized. You can speak on everything that's not authorized. You want to speak on what was spent for 2022?
2023.
It was spent in 2022. It was bills from 22 that we had to spend our money on in 23. Correct.
So A Securo Inc. was hired prior to 2023?
I did not say that. I said you want to discuss certain things on the ledger. Let's discuss everything on where the spending is coming from.
I have
A
a
lot
question
of the
about the
spending.
2023 spending that has been.
Okay, and we spent a lot of money on 2022 in 2023. You not understanding that part either?
No.
Okay, you can break it down later if you want to.
You still haven't, okay, so you did not clarify that you're not going to spend unauthorized.
She said the money was spent for last year, they had to take care of y'all bill last year.
Can I explain my question again? Okay, so A Securo Inc. was paid in January of 2023. The administration brought an ordinance before the city council on February 23rd asking for permission to enter into an agreement with A Securo Inc. and D'Artagnan Sanders. Payments have been made to him in 2023. They were not authorized. I'm asking, is the administration committed to not spending on things they have not been authorized to spend on? You're not committed to that. Okay, well then why do you expect these people to approve a budget? If you've already shown that you're not gonna listen, you're gonna do what you wanna do with or without the council.
Let's do it. I think that you're
People, you
overlooking.
have to play by rules. I'm gonna let them respond.
So also on that ledger was hundreds of thousands of dollars that was spent by the past administration. No, we're discussing the general ledger for 2023. Let me finish. I'll let you finish. We're sitting up here and we're discussing unspent funds. We literally just told you about millions of dollars. I'm pretty sure every single project that was deemed emergency was not brought before this council. I'm sitting here combing through years and years of statements that we have no record of the city council approving. So let's just go off past precedent. Did you ask the past administration that question? And I also,
I'm pretty sure my question wasn't answered. Thank you.
My name is Anita Graham. I live at 110 Graham Drive in Bogalusa. Let me start first. I was counsel for District C. Ms. Temples is now, and I think she's doing a good job. It takes a little time to learn as you go, but give her time, she's working it. I want to kind of stick with the purpose of the meeting and some of the questions that were asked. I know that it was brought up that we owe $300,000 on the landfill. When the state auditor sent their man here to run the city, we worked out a deal with the parish, to the council and the mayor, to where we would sell them back our portion, our share of the landfill. We did that and we had to pay them off. In April this year, we should have paid them $160,000 that should have paid it off in full. Every year, there's like $300 and something thousand that we owe for trash that's taken out there by our trash trucks. And it's actually paid every spring, once a year. When we get our ad valorem taxes in, that's used to pay that. So we really shouldn't be behind $300,000 on this and didn't get paid this year.
no ma'am. So to address that question, I mean, we can haul the parish president in here for a meeting if he's up to it. We said in the meeting, he's telling us that we are $300,000 behind, am I correct? Just because you cut a deal does not mean they paid for the deal that they cut.
I will personally call and I will come to the next meeting and give you the answer. But I know that it's $300 and something thousand in annual cost that is paid from the ad valorem taxes when they come in. So we should not really be, if it was paid this year, we should not owe that. But maybe this year's unpaid, we'll have to pay next year. Maybe that's what he's talking about. Another thing on the COBRs, the insurance for the retirement for the city workers. There was a lot of work with the man that was sitting in that run the city on the COBRs plan. There were some ordinances passed and things done to where changes were made to where funds that had been going towards one project like out at the industrial park was converted to where it went to the retirement account. There was additional money passed to go to that retirement account. No, it did not catch it up. It was still millions of dollars behind. And it continues to be millions of dollars behind. And until we can do better about putting in instead of just taking out, I don't know how it's going to go, because every time an employee leaves and they get their money out, that deletes that out of that account. And you have fewer workers working now than those who will be retiring. So something's going to have to be done somewhere along that line with the COLAs. I don't know whether it'll be for this budget or next budget, but that is something on there. I'm sorry, just wondered if there was something else that I had a question. I know that I've heard comments tonight about money used to blacktop an alley. I think I'm still on the council when it came up, that there was a major water leak over behind Avenue F. And the water was pouring out into the alley, and it was just pouring all the way through those businesses over there. So that was an emergency. That was voted on by the council to approve as an emergency to repair that leak and to repave that street, which is already done. It's like an alley that's used for those businesses over there. I've looked over this budget and I can't say that I heard comments tonight that figures have changed over and over, but I may not have the most current one. But I would like to maybe not go over it one by one with you tonight, Ms. Brown, but maybe if I could come over one day and see, because I see on some of the departments, the breakdown on the payments, it's showing where you would be paid without insurance. Amount would be maybe for one employee, but it's showing like you're paid for 3 or 4 on this breakdown. So I think that's just some kind of mistake there, that it could be changed by now. But I would like to come over to that, we can just to see. Because I had a kind of reading and I would look through everything and read every letter. But I do hope that y'all can get it together, and I do hope that it's a little more budget. And I do hope that this is not for just a show, but it's to give us a better living in the town. Because we do need things that are not just beautiful. We do need beautiful, but we need living things too. And I've noticed coming up over here, the sidewalk out in front is better. That's good. I didn't near to fall down in the hole, but it looks really nice. But the council does pass emergency ordinances when things come up. And I do commend you, council. I can't imagine. I'm so glad I'm not up there this time. I commend y'all, and I know y'all been through a lot, and I've put up with an awful lot, and I commend you. And you too, Mayor, and please get over it and work with them a little better. I appreciate it. I tried to get something one time, because I got fired up there. But I'm just not going to succeed. But I'll make a report and see you all day. It's okay.
Yes, ma'am, I welcome that opportunity, but I would like to address the alleyway issue. With all due respect, Ms. Graham, there are water leaks all over our city, but we don't repave after we dig up every emergency water leak. I mean, I think it's very clear as to why an alleyway was paved versus main streets like Church Street. I mean, I don't know if I'm like conveying that message well enough. Like, whose businesses are on Avenue F? I mean, who does that benefit? That's my point. So I don't think that was an emergency. Fixing the water main problem was an emergency, but repaving an entire alley, that was not an emergency.
The water line ran down the alley and they had to dig it all up. That's why it was an emergency.
Good afternoon. Emma Dixon, 717 St. Mary's Place, in Bogalusa. Normally, before I approach a subject that I'm not clear about, I kind of research information like my colleague over here, Councilman Cates. And I went to Google and I looked at all of the information on budgets. And one of the things that was interesting to me is that we're such a small town, and in larger cities in other states, they have a process. And that process is that when there's a budget presented, the council does information meetings to have the citizens comment and/or disagree. What's amazing to me, and as the other gentleman shared his information, I've worked for major corporations, I've worked for major nonprofit national organizations, and usually they don't hold the leader up, whether it's an executive director or whatever, on the money that's needed to operate. Even if there's given a provisional budget so that the city or town or corporation or nonprofit can operate, then usually it's the best way to go to keep the city moving or the organization. I just want to say something personal because I work with a lot of organizations out of state, and people are alarmed at what they see going on in Bogalusa. They say that we're trying to, with the, what would you call them, people who want to see things stay the same, are doing everything they can to hold this city back. And I'm not going to call names, but I think if you go to some of the media, you'll see who these people are. I have to address, and I hope I don't get thrown out for saying it, but there's one person that's real vocal about what's happening with the city and malfeasance and so forth. That person has been accused themselves of giving themselves large raises, not being in their offices for several years, and being in cahoots with the city. I know one of my other colleagues came with me to the city a few years ago as a grant writer, and we offered to write grants for free for the city. And the administration said, no, we don't want that, because all you would be doing is looking on the internet for grant opportunity. And those of you who know the grant process know that's not how it works. And so, I am alarmed. My phone's been ringing off the hook about stuff that's on the media. This is my hometown. I love Bogalusa. I am ashamed of what's taking place. Even the comments that was made recently about the new administration stealing water bill money. I mean, how ludicrous is that? It's just ludicrous. And I want to say that I hope that the council will step up like it did when they were trying to put those apartments in. And you were very vocal. You stood up in unity to protect the city. And I hope you will do the same. And I congratulate our young man. Yes, he is young. He's ambitious, he's talented, and we need to get behind him. That's right. We need to get behind him. And I encourage all of you to do that today. And I'm here, I'm offering my services. I've talked to my colleagues around the country. They want to come in and see the city move forward. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. President, Ms. Dixon, thank you for your comments. I would like to say thank you for so much for bringing up that condominium deal. That was a united effort. The fiscal administrator, when he was here, he overrode us using like Section 39. That's when you don't want a fiscal administrator here to take complete control of the city and approve all kinds of land deals and shove things through planning and zoning and stuff. I'm just going to get out there because I think Channel 6 don't even know about this, that there is a special section in Louisiana's law which gives this fiscal administrator total, complete control of the city. That's why we're here tonight, to avoid that. So the thing is that fiscal administrator promised that there'd be $30,000 in tax money each year come off those condominiums, and not one of them has. Except it's floods, places like the mayor's house down there on Avenue G and all that, they still have flooding problems back there, and that was created by those condominiums, and it looks like a big fishbowl. You know, I mean, I'm just telling you, things were shoved through planning and zoning. No flood study was done. No other impact studies were done to that. To be honest with you, I used to be on planning and zoning, but when the physical administrator took over, that was in my first year, my first term, I'll never forget that. But anyway, thank you for reminding me of that, because that will be in my book when I write down my book when I get old on the porch. Thank you.
Michael Hollywood, 1009 Hollywood. My question is, a lot of the firemen were coming up to me and we were having a lot of questions saying that our budget was $165,000 for salaries less than what it was last year. And I was just curious where that was coming from, or if that is true, please tell us that's not the case and we'll know.
No, sir. The 2022 total budget was $1,229,200. The total 2023 budget is $1,160,248. So that's less than $100,000 decrease. And it was made necessary because we had to protect people who are still here. So that covers everybody who's still here right now. I think it also covers the salary for the chief, but I'll have to check into that. But that's why.
Okay.
So it's not 160.
Okay, well, even if it's close to 100, that's at least 2 firemen. Are you saying that you're gonna lay off 2 firemen, or how do you cut salaries without?
I'm sorry, it's about 60,000
About
decrease.
60. Yeah, okay.
Yes, sir.
So how do you cut 60,000 in salaries without taking somebody's job?
I think that 60,000 was actually Chief Moody's salary, who's no longer here.
Yeah, but somebody's in his position.
Right.
So that salary's still here.
Correct, but I can guarantee you this covers everybody who's here right now.
Okay. So you can tell me we're not gonna.
That's fear mongering. No,
That's
sir.
perfect. That's what I needed to hear. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rhonda Rende. I live at 826 East 7th Street, Bogalusa, Louisiana. My question is to the mayor and Ms. Brown. I have a question to ask you guys today. If the budget that we're here for tonight, if it's not paid, do y'all employees get paid, or do it stop everything? And I mean, how do that work?
Well, the way that it has been explained to me by the former city contractor, who is also an attorney, once we reach 50% of last year's budget, which is what Mr. Mike Heron referred to earlier, we, according to state law, are supposed to cease all operations.
Wow. So on tonight, I hope that the council will consider to do what they need to do tonight, because everybody in here has a job, everybody in here has a family, and everybody has to pay bills. So put yourself in that position. It's facts, and this is the truth. And after tonight, I hope everything can be resolved. I hope that everybody can come on one accord, start working together, because this is a beautiful city. We all say that we are Christians. We all say that we are godly. Where's the godly part in this situation? We have to do better, y'all. Bogalusa is on the map. Bogalusa on the map for good things. Bogalusa is on the map for bad things. But we want the good things to outweigh the bad things. I love the mayor. I'll do anything that I can to support him. Not all the times that things that come along that he may not make all the right decisions, but one thing about it, if it's not right or whatever, he's gonna make sure that it's corrected. Y'all all have a job to do. We shouldn't come in here arguing and fussing. I know I'm one of them that do it. But one thing that I'm gonna do, if I have to stand alone by myself for right, I will. We shouldn't come in here and disrespect one another. In order to get respect, you have to give respect. Just think about it. Just take our time. We need peace. We need unity. Just don't come out for the mess. Come out for positive things. And another thing, Mr. Mayor, I wanted to ask this question. And I know it's several nonprofits here in Bogalusa. I'm one. And I want to, I'm not gonna do this. Well, I'm gonna say it to you. I'm not gonna look back there at her, Miss Wendy. Miss Wendy, you shouldn't let people lead you. Make your own decision. I seen you on just a picture, I think a week ago with the mayor and stuff and everything. Yeah. Please don't get up here and just degrade Bogalusa, degrade the mayor, because he's gonna help you just like he's gonna help everybody else. Okay, let me get off this. But anyway, I'm just asking you. Let's all work together. And
Miss Wendy.
I just had to say that. And the last thing, I'm gonna go to my seat. Y'all, let's come together in unity. Tonight we are hashing everything out. Everybody's getting to say what they want to say. Then one more thing, can I say just one more thing and I'm gonna sit down. We're talking about what's going on now. We have to straighten up what happened in the past, and it's not the mayor's fault. But everybody's making it seem like it's this administration's fault. But it's not. Let's just work together. I'm asking everybody to come in unity. And I hope when I come back to the next council meeting and stuff, that we can be all unified. Mr. Kelly, I'm gonna move. I know you're telling me to sit down and move, but please don't tell me that, because I'm gonna respect you, and I want you to do the same thing to me. I'm gonna sit down. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Richard Briscoe, 1932, Richard Briscoe, 1932, Lewis Street, Bogalusa, Louisiana. Mayor, I know there's a lot of corruption before you came in office. That's why I voted for you. I put you a sign in my door, on my yard. Never did it in history. Nobody. But I will say this tonight. I don't know a lot about budgets. I know it has to be balanced. I know that. I'm not faulting you. I'm not faulting the council per se. I know there's some corruption. I can't know who to believe in certain areas. But I will say this. The young lady that just standing back there, she asked you a question. I know I'm a righteous person. Do I think I'm perfect? No. It's still about what I'm going to say. She asked you, are you going to spend some money that's not authorized? Now, the point I'm going to say, I hear someone say, did you ask Wendy that? What I'm saying is this here. If you start doing that, you'll be no better than Wendy. That's right. And it ain't going to come out right. If you think I'm against you, I'm not against you. Do I believe some of you might be fighting against you? They may be. But all I'm saying is this. If you get more, if they say you get more money, sure. And I'm not telling you to beg or compromise with them. All I'm saying is this. If you do what she asked you, is you're going to do some stuff that didn't authorize. That puts you in the same place with all the other bad administration. And I understand what you're saying to a degree. We have bad administration. They did a lot of things bad. But if you start doing a little shortcut, you're going to be ready to the same place. We're going to come to the same place. So try to work along with them. I know you're young. I know you're going to make mistakes. I will make mistakes, because I'm 68, so I still make mistakes. And sometimes you come off a little arrogant. I don't understand that. I can understand you're still young. And you need to be able to take little criticism. You need to be able to take, you don't take criticism too good. And I don't care what most of you people here think about what I say. I'm telling you what I look at. And I'm still for you. I'm still for you. And it's open up to them. What about what they say? Show them you're bigger than them. That's right.
Well, I hate that the gentleman left the room, but I don't disagree with what he's saying. But my point is, I'm tired of the double standards. I have received more hell in 6 months than any other mayor in 6 years combined. So until you have set this seat, I don't know what to tell you. That does not put me in the same boat. I was unaware that a contract was being paid out. It has since been corrected, and the person who authorized it is no longer with the city.
Hi, my name is Deidre Owens. My address is 804 West 16th Street, Bogalusa, Louisiana. I have a question. Why were millions in emergency projects approved in December, even though y'all hadn't even financials from prior administration for months? Council.
What was the question, ma'am?
Why were millions in emergency projects approved in December, even though y'all hadn't financials from the prior administration for months? Councilwoman Shelby, Councilwoman Douglas.
I can't answer that because I was not on the council at that time.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll be glad.
Councilwoman Douglas. Councilwoman Douglas.
Yeah, you don't come here.
Don't never come here. Councilwoman Kellis. Councilman Man.
All right, that's good. I'm not familiar exactly with what emergency you're talking about. I don't know about the $2 million because I'm not looking at it. I'm sure if there was an emergency, then it was done, it's done. That happened in 2022. If the mayor approved it then, or if the mayor had it done, doesn't necessarily mean it came through the council to get done. Like other things that get through, it doesn't come through our council, so that's all I got to say on that. Thank you.
Who are you? You're not, okay. Oh, Ms. Cates, Councilwoman Cates.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
For my regulation of those emergency ordinances that we've done, if you go back and you read through the minutes at that time period, I too questioned why we were doing it. And because of the fact it was an emergency, yes, I did approve it. But I did indicate, and if you go back into the minutes to see, that I wanted to know how much it would be. I didn't know it was $2 billion at the time, but how much it was. Excuse me.
That's why you don't need to be approving nothing that you don't know what it's.
That's right. Excuse me. In the case of an emergency, okay, wait, I'm not gonna argue. Can I finish?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Just speak a little louder.
Okay, what I was saying is that because it was an emergency, yes, I did approve it, but I did inquire as to how much was being paid and who we were paying to at that time.
They didn't give you an answer?
Never did go back.
Okay.
This was in Councilman, I'm not trying to pass the vote.
Yeah, Pastor, come on, Mr. Councilman Irving.
Two of the said two of the said emergency ordinances, and Ms. Lee, I guess you're Ms. Lee, right?
That's fine, yes, sir.
Two of the emergency ordinances was in my district, and let me explain a few things about that. All emergency ordinances per charter must first be approved by the city attorney. If a councilman jumps up and down and screams and wants that work done, which I did not want done at the time, I didn't push to get done, it was actually going up for weeks at a time, and I'm going to tell you where they were. Not no fault, I don't want to point to them, I was just talking about city attorney in this case. City, yeah, yes, but the city attorney must look at and decide whether or not that is an emergency, where it is life, health, and property. And the mayor the mayor of the city, whoever that is at the time, and the city attorney at the time will get together and sign off on emergency ordinances. In that case, it was Dale Branch and Wendy O'Quinn Correct as mayor. The said emergencies were on Sabine Street on the side of Walmart here in Bogalusa. It is a major thoroughfare which handles 600 cars going into Brookside and to the Terrace neighborhoods, which also almost immediately the bridge on Jefferson Street was hit, which is the backup for the other street, and some drunk hit it and knocked the bridge railing into the thing plus the bridge piling. I knew that cost thousands of dollars, so I was told verbally that it'd be somewhere around $60,000 to fix that, okay? Now, I'm gonna tell you the truth. We got October through October 31st financials on December the 27th. We did ask in December's finance meeting to the mayor, are we in a deficit? She says, no, we're even. We're going into administration with a balanced budget.
So y'all impressed her before leaving with this mix?
We did ask, we did.
Y'all didn't press, I said you asked, did you press?
We asked her, that's honest to what we can do.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not gonna make love to her, so, I mean, that's as far as she can go.
Y'all give this man a hard time.
And Ms. Owens, Ms. Owens, as far as you mentioned, did we press? Now, I did press. I don't know how many of you know me or have been following me as a council person, but I did press. In fact, I wanted the legislative auditors to come and give us an audit before the new administration came in. And I believe I mentioned that to you, Mayor Tron, I don't know if you recall it or not. I wanted them to come in. I talked to, I'm gonna say Allison, a couple of people, but they said, you're getting a new administration in, we'll wait until that administration in before we come in to do an audit. Yes, I did press the answer to your question.
I believe Ms. Lewis.
Yes, I do too. I know she pressed.
Okay, one more question, I'm about to sit down. Have you all complied with the public records, request for a text message, from a council member pertaining to city business? Anything like that? That the city won't, get any more lawsuits?
Could you repeat that?
Have y'all been compliant to, like, text messages about the public record stuff, as far as, pertaining to lawsuits?
A request for your tax.
A request as far as their public records?
As far as?
Point of information, she's referring to a public records request that we forwarded over to the council, asking for all business text messages pertaining to any council business, and they're requesting that from every council person. So I know that you all are against lawsuits, additional lawsuits, so I think that's what she's referring to. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, you said additional lawsuits as it pertains to text messages? I'm not
In this
understanding.
case, I'm gonna break it down.
Please.
Our public records department received a request from a constituent asking for all business-related text messages on personal phones from the city council.
Okay.
I have had to turn over all of my text messages. I believe that's what she's referring to.
Okay.
She's asking, are y'all complying?
I didn't use my 4 minutes. Can I use 15 seconds to ask the mayor a pointed question?
Mr. Smith, we gave you the same amount of time as everyone else. If I let you go, we'll have to have everybody else that's already been up here. Thank you for understanding that, sir. Is there any council discussion on this matter?
Yes, I do have council discussion. As I indicated earlier, there was a number of concerns of my lack thereof of communicating as reasonings why of the last responses to the ordinances. Now, we did hold a finance meeting prior to the council meeting. And I'm going to share with you some of the questions that I posed during the finance meeting. Also, it was inquired as to why, a particular reasoning why there was not a vote. Now, I can't speak for anybody else, but I would just like to quote to you from the Louisiana Government Budget Act. And it asks about what are the penalties for violating the Louisiana Government Budget Act, revised statute 39-1315. It says the fiduciary, as someone mentioned this earlier, responsibility of a public official or officer charged with the responsibility of planning, adopting, amending, and implementing the budget are sufficient and serious. And I take it very serious. Any public official who knowingly and intentionally adopts, amends, and implements an adopted budget wherein the expenditures exceed the funds available may be guilty of misdemeanor, malfeasance of office and subject to the penalties contained within that criminal statute. And again, that's revised statute 14-134. So I do take it very serious when voting for a particular budget that's coming in. Once again, if the budget is balanced, we have until July 1st for a new budget. The 2023 budget, if it's not budget, if it is budget, we have to use at least 50% of the last approved budget until July 2023. And my first question to you, Ms. Brown, have we exceeded the 50% mark yet with our 2022 budget?
I can't give you those figures because I don't have those with me.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna tell you yes and I'm not gonna tell you no because I don't have those figures in front of me. But if you wanna come to me and ask me in the office, I have no problem giving you that information.
Okay, I will make it a point to do that.
And additionally, again, we are still reconciling financial statements from going back to November of last year. We're responding to public records requests. We're sitting up here fighting about a budget for months on end we're sitting up here answering your concerns. I mean, I just don't know what more you want at this point. And honestly, I believe that at this time, we can just go ahead and vote because you're
I
gonna
do
vote
have
right
additional
now.
questions, Mayor, if you don't mind. Okay, please.
when we vote for, or when we vote for a budget, we need a balanced budget, a letter of a law budget, because there are certain laws within the budget that applies to if we're using the funds properly, and agreeable with the council, as Mr. Harris had indicated. And once again, Ms. Brown, you did indicate that we do have a balanced budget. Ms. Brown?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And the reasoning, and you might know the reasoning why I'm asking, I did request expenditures and revenue reports so that I could do some checks and balances on it to see if we were actually balanced. Some of the other questions I asked during our meeting, we talked a little bit about the organizational chart that is within the budget, and the mayor did explain that the organizational chart that's in place now has the administrative organizational chart, and we will be updating the chart to include the council in the chart. We have a couple of entities that are now included in, I believe, in the general ledger, and that's the City Court of Bogalusa, the Constable City Court of Bogalusa, Christmas in the Park Commission, Bogalusa Community Arena Commission, Bogalusa Parks and Recreation Committee. These entities, they used to have their own financial statements, and within this new budget, they're going to be within under one umbrella. We talked a little bit about the American Rescue Plan, earmarked for roads. And the American Rescue Plan was, from what I understand, initially for treatment plants, but this will be updated due to funding supposedly from Representative White. Once the legislation votes on the treatment plant. Okay, we talked a little bit about personal allotments, beginning on page 16, and there were some totals that were not totaled up, and my question is, since the time we met on Tuesday, has those allotments been totaled properly with the personal allotments?
Yes, they have.
Okay, would I be able, I'll come and visit you, get a copy of those? Okay. Okay, this was brought to me as well, and I did make a question about it. Our city attorney on page 24, the amount of the salary for our city attorney was excuse me everyone. Please forgive me, I am not to talk about any salaries unless it's in executive session. So excuse me for that. I'm not calling a name, but if anyone has any additional questions, you get with me on that, please. She talked a little bit about COBRAs. This is a finance meeting. I'm not
This is part of the issue. And I'm just going over this, and please, when there is any type, excuse me, please. If there's any type of committee meeting that the council is having, we do post those meetings. They are public meetings, and please plan to attend. Most times they're held in our council meeting. They're mostly posted on the website and outside the front doors. Okay? That's all. You're quite welcome.
I got something to say. Once again, good afternoon, Ms. Brown. I want to commend y'all for your hard work and efforts on finally getting us a budget. I do appreciate that. Well, we appreciate that as a city. Well, remember, we are supposed to work together. Now, question. In the May financial meeting that you did show up for, and Mr. Burnett used to be the only one that showed up in the previous meetings, okay?
No, you weren't. Reason why I wasn't at meetings is because I had other obligations. It's not because I didn't just want to show up.
Yes, ma'am, I know that. He did tell me that. Okay. He, like I say, Mr. Burnett was a businessman, and we all got along good. But anyway, let me explain something here. You said in the May finance meeting, that you, towards the end, that you would amend the budget after we passed this one. Is that still correct?
That's correct, because if we still have some adjustments to be made to the judge's budget, as well as you know that, because that was discussed in the meeting. So yes, we would have to do that in order to verify that information.
Okay, we're just making sure we're still on track.
Yes, we're on track.
Okay, good, very good. And about when will you have that amendment done?
It's done until we get a budget passed.
When? After the budget passes?
That's correct. I can't do anything until the budget is passed.
All right, after the budget is passed, how many days would you think?
I can't give you that time frame. Remember, I'm still trying to catch up on financials.
Yes,
but as soon as we can get it done, we will get it to you.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Thank you for your comment. We appreciate that.
And Ms. Brown, I do have one last question. I have one last question, Ms. Brown. The gas fee report done by Postal and Netterville, as well as I think we talked a little bit about the bank reconciliations. What findings would it have on this particular budget?
What findings would it have on 23's budget?
Mm-hmm.
We're not in 23's budget yet. We're still working on 22's with all of the financials.
Okay. So it has no bearing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Is the revenue and expense projection of the 2023 budget accurate?
For who?
Ma'am?
I didn't understand what you said, the name.
Okay, I said, Ms. Brown, is the revenue and expense projections of the 2023 budget accurate?
Yes, they are.
And this is a working, balanced budget that we are about to vote for tonight.
Yes, it is.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there any other discussion by this council? There is no other discussion by this council. I will call for a vote by roll call. Aye.
Councilman Irwin?
Aye.
Vice President Douglas?
Aye.
Councilwoman Smith? Okay. Councilwoman Cates? All right. Councilwoman Keys?
Don't be so rude.
Aye.
Yeah, come on.
This meeting is now adjourned.
No.